They left their hometowns in search of jobs and higher wages. Today, the number of migrant workers from ASEAN has hit 14 million. Of this figure, nearly 6 million are working within ASEAN states. The rest are scattered across the globe. But almost 90% of them are low-skilled, and there have been calls to better protect their rights. The ASEAN community has long recognized the importance of labor migration. That is why in 2007, it adopted the Declaration on the Protection and Promotion of the Rights of Migrant Workers, which calls on countries to ensure the dignity of these workers. A committee is now in the process of drafting an ASEAN instrument aimed at preventing any forms of abuse, discrimination, and exploitation. But the agreement remains a work in progress and will take time to finalize as challenges abound.
With its small size and limited resources, Singapore has for years needed foreign manpower to complement its local workforce. Last year, figures from the Ministry of Manpower showed 1.4 million people here are foreign workers. Close to 1 million of them hold work permits, and they're mostly employed in the construction and domestic sectors. Has the country done enough to protect them? We'll find out in this episode of ASEAN Spotlight.
In Singapore, most workers in the construction sector hail from India and Bangladesh, while others come from China and Thailand. On the other hand, the bulk of the foreign domestic workers, or FDWs, are from its ASEAN neighbours such as the Philippines, Indonesia and Myanmar. Given their large numbers, the government is well aware it has to effectively manage the migrant workforce. That is why there is a comprehensive framework in place, including laws requiring employers to ensure the well-being of their migrant workers, enforcement to take errant parties to task, as well as continued education for both workers and employers. Further to this, since 2008, an interministerial committee has been overseeing efforts to enhance the standards of their accommodation as well as improve their lives outside of working hours by ensuring that their amenity and recreational needs are reasonably addressed.
We want to make sure that they can integrate into our society well and also give them a living environment that they could feel at home and they enjoy each other's company, and to let them feel welcome as well, because if you give them proper facility, I'm very sure it's easier for them to integrate into our community.
Non-governmental organizations such as the Migrant Workers Centre are also helping to address problems. MWC has been handling about 4,000 cases annually. The majority are related to salary disputes, injury compensation, and other grievances at the workplace. A greater challenge comes from what Singapore cannot legally control.
I think the recruitment process is something that I hoped the sending country or the origin of the migrant workers can do more, because that is an area that which actually we can't control. If the workers actually come, before they come, they already have to actually pay a huge sum of recruitment fees. I think this is one problem we are not able to actually help to resolve this, because it happened at the origin.
Mr. Yeo is optimistic that Singapore will remain a choice destination for foreign workers. A 2014 government survey had indicated that almost 9 in 10 of them expressed satisfaction working here. But other NGOs feel there is still room for improvement. The humanitarian organization of migration economics, also known as HOME, was set up in 2004 and focuses on advocacy, welfare and empowerment of migrant workers. To bolster its efforts, HOME works with similar organizations in the region and beyond.
One example I can give is the adoption of the International Labour Organization's Convention for Domestic Workers. This convention was adopted in 2012 and sets international standards, and it was the result of NGOs from around the region and from all over the world really coming together to say that we want this convention. And Singapore is a member of the International Labour Organization, so they will be influenced by these processes too.
Home thinks there is scope for more partners to come on board to improve the lives of migrant workers in Singapore, such as voluntary welfare organizations and family service centers. These days, social media has given more migrant workers the means to gain access to NGOs and in turn allow these organizations to better reach out to those in distress. Domestic workers are also using the internet to sign up for classes on their days off, which could range from money management and computer literacy to leadership and entrepreneurial skills. Their monthly pay is on the rise, and more FDWs are now aware of their rights to better working conditions. But one expert says that amidst the positive outlook, an area that might prove a bigger stumbling block is the attitude of some Singaporeans towards migrant workers.
On one hand, I think Singaporeans do, they may not be comfortable with the large influx of migrant workers, but on the other hand, they're also aware that, moving forward as an aging society, you may need them to be around, to look after your aging parents or your kids. So there's a bit of that dilemma.
Another area that might not be adequately addressed is the social and emotional needs of domestic helpers. Last year, Home surveyed close to 700 maids and found that a quarter could be suffering from poor mental health. The Foreign Domestic Worker Association for Social Support and Training, or FAST, says about 40% of the calls it gets are from maids facing adjustment problems in Singapore. It's starting a pilot program to help newcomers adapt.
This 3 days will be more of a classroom and also experiential learning, where we bring them around some parts of Singapore to learn how to take transport, and things like that. Understanding the different cultures, the value system, our religious belief and all that.
In recent years, the Singapore government has tightened inflows of foreign labour amidst concerned views by its citizens about their swelling numbers. Yet at the same time, it is fully aware that they are needed in order for the country to progress. As Singapore seeks this balance, the needs and wants of migrant workers are in spotlight. Numerous initiatives have been launched to promote their integration into Singapore society. And it remains to be seen if these efforts will eventually be successful.